Hey everyone, it's Jordan. Welcome to my life. Today, we're going to be doing the pros and cons of nickel boards and cruiser boards. Let's get started. So first, we're going to start out with the nickel boards. Penny brand is what we're talking about as well. The actual penny nickel boards, not the knockoff brands. And of course, we're going to start off on a positive note. Let's go with the pros. So the first pro, of course, as you can tell, is that nickel boards and penny boards come in a whole bunch of different colors and designs. Like, you can get any color you can imagine and any design you can think of. If you're someone who really likes color and you want to stand out, then penny boards and nickel boards are awesome for that. And the next pro is that since penny boards do not have any grip tape, they're just plastic, they don't really get quite as wrecked as easily in rain or if it gets wet as other boards do, although, like I mentioned, do not try to get it wet because it's still not very good for the bearings and all that stuff. And the next pro is that they are relatively cheap. Now, it probably varies depending where you live and stuff, but here the nickel boards are all around 150 bucks and the penny boards are a little bit cheaper. So compared to some other skateboards you can get, is like a really good deal. So they're pretty good on the bank. And the last pro is that they're super small and compact, so if you're traveling at all, you shouldn't have a problem with taking them on airplanes. And Casey Neistat even has a video where he kind of shows you guys how to make a custom penny board holder on your suitcase, and that's pretty cool. So they're super easy to take around and you don't even notice that you have them. Now it is time for the cons. So the first few cons that we have sort of go together. So they're not the most stable going down hills, and they also don't turn quite as well as other boards do. And the reason for that is because since they are nice and small, they have got the smaller wheels, they have shorter trucks, and that means that you're kind of balancing on like this little beam almost. So especially if you're a little bit bigger and you're ripping down a hill, it's kind of sketchy. Plus, they just don't turn because they're simply just smaller, so they don't have that ability. And this next con sort of like matches again with those ones, so if you're like a bigger person or like a fully grown person, they're not quite as comfortable to ride just simply because like your feet don't even go over the entire thing, so it's not fully supported. Plus they're not quite as smooth. You can feel a lot of the rocks and everything like that and all the bumps and stuff, so if you're a little bit bigger, it's a little bit more uncomfortable of a ride, so you're going to want to keep the rides a bit shorter. And of course, since they don't have grip tape, another con is that they have a little bit less grip than other boards do. Although they can be a little bit more durable, you're losing a little bit of that grip, especially if they get a little bit wet. So if you go through a puddle or anything, or your feet get a bit wet, it's very slippery and that can be kind of sketchy. And the last con that we have for these guys is that they do not come in any styles besides the standard penny/nickel board style. They come in lots of colors and designs, but the actual style of the board is the exact same for all of them. You're pretty much stuck with their template, and if you don't like it, you might need to get a different type of board. Now we're moving on to the cruisers. And again, we're gonna start positive. Let's go with the pros. So cruiser boards are super good for turning. I carve on this thing all the time. Boom, 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 carve. I love it. They're also more stable when you're going downhill because they're wider, so you got a bit more foot placement on there, and you have a lot more control because again you can carve, which is really fun. Also, since they do have grip tape, you got a little bit more grip, plus you have a lot of different styles of grip tape you can get. Right now I just have the full black, but before that I had like a clear grip tape and then a black grip tape, and there's like colorful grip tape, so there's lots of different colors you can add to the top, which is kind of cool. The final pro about these ones is that they come in a lot of different styles. So the style that I have, this one right here, is sort of like the penny board style. I don't mind it, I actually quite enjoy it, but they also have lots of different ones where like the back's different, the whole shape's different, they're a bit longer, a bit smaller, but they're not quite long boards. So they're still the cruiser style, except so many different types you can get. And some of them even have, like mine have like longboard wheels, some of them have like more like skateboard wheels and stuff. There's just a whole bunch of variety. There's so much choice you can have with these guys depending on what type of riding you do, what you're comfortable with, how big you are, all that. So that part's awesome. Let's move on to the cons. The first con is that they are a lot harder to learn on just because when you're first starting, like they're not unstable, but since they turn so much, for a beginner, it's gonna feel unstable and it's gonna sketch them right out. And another really small con is that you do have to replace the grip tape, except sometimes it's free, or like $5 for like a entire thing that covers your whole board in tons of different colors. So really it's not that bad, but you do have to replace it, which can be a little bit annoying because it just takes time. And now the next con is that they do get damaged more easily. So if they get wet, the grip tape gets messed up, sometimes the wood can get messed up. Also, it chips a lot easier. Like the paint might chip on the nickel boards and stuff, but like the actual wood chips on mine, at least in a few spots, it gets scratched up really badly, and those are kind of the downsides that they're a little bit more fragile in that aspect, although I'm not really that gentle with it because I mean, you gotta ride it. And the final con that I have for you guys is that cruisers are more expensive, generally speaking. I mean, mine's a little bit bigger and stuff like that than a nickel boards. Of course it's more expensive, but from what I've seen, all of the cruisers have been more expensive than the penny boards or the nickel boards, so you're gonna have to save up a little bit more for that, but you can do a little bit more with them in my opinion. So, and now for the final verdict between penny boards and cruisers, and which one's better. Honestly, I'm gonna say they're about equal. So if you're a beginner looking to get into a board and you like bright colors and cool designs, then definitely go for a penny board or a nickel board, okay? Because you're gonna be able to learn on that super easily. There's still great quality, it'll last you a long time, you look cool riding it, and you'll still be able to go fast. If you're slightly more advanced, you have a certain style that you like, or you're a fully grown person and you want to carve and everything with different styles, and you have a bit more money, then I'd totally go with the cruiser boards because there's a lot that you can do. So that is all for today's video. Both of the boards are awesome. I ride both of them, so if you can get both, do it. Anyways, hope this helped out. If you have any questions or concerns or tips and advice, which one do you like better, leave it in the comments below. We're gonna talk about it, and you're gonna help some new people out who are looking to get a new skateboard. Alright, talk to you in the next video, and have a fantastic day. See you later. Bye.